Transmutation. October 22, 2014. Beloved ones, let us have discourse on the quality of love known as transmutation. This quality of love within a person comes into effect after great struggle within the depths of their soul to understand who they really are and what they truly stand for. Transmutation begins when one awakens to one's spiritual essence and discovers the spiritual path. Along the way, the individual who was identified with their outer persona through the body, emotions, and mind, gradually becomes identified with their soul, their inner spiritual being. They begin to understand that they are embodied in the physical in order to gain awareness of their spiritual origins through their material plane experiences. These material experiences are transmuted into spiritual energies such as wisdom, love, compassion, and higher purpose. A mysterious spiritual alchemy occurs by means of which the human soul becomes vaguely aware of its higher counterpart, the higher self. When this awareness reaches a kindling point, awakening occurs. The task of transmuting the material forces in one's life and elevating these experiences through the power of the mind into refined spiritual energies begins. One has become aware of spiritual realities. The earthly persona is still largely identified with its physical body, emotions, and mind, but has now become sufficiently integrated and coordinated enough to begin the work of the transmutation of their life experiences into a higher spiritual energy. Material experience is transmuted into soul energy through the mind and will. The person learns to concentrate their mind to affect the subtle forces of the mind itself, the emotional body, and the vital energy body that underlies the physical form called the light body. The power of focus, thought, and intention is used to lift the emotional forces of the desire nature anchored in the solar plexus up into the heart center. In the heart center, the force of personal desire is transmuted into the magnetic energy of spiritual love. People who work for the greater good of humanity exemplify the transmutation of the force of the desire nature within them into the energy of love. Growing numbers of individuals upon the planet are now awakening to the understanding that they are much more than physical beings who live through emotions and minds. They are recognizing that they are spiritual beings having a human experience. This awakening leads to the path of transformation and transmutation through which the beauty, power, and light that is inherent in their spiritual self, the soul within them, is gradually revealed. The blending of spirit and matter is often a painful process, as one's material nature must be purified and refined so that it may blend harmoniously with that which is their spiritual nature. As this occurs, one becomes an entirely different being from the personality with which they were identified at the start of their awakening process. The outer persona is transmuted into a vehicle for their soul's expression in the world. By unifying their personality and soul energy into a harmoniously functioning unit, there is a successful blending of polarities that have been at work in their daily lives. There is a gradual shift in the focus of consciousness from the outer world of form to the inner world of spiritual meaning and purpose. As they aspire to live a more spiritual life, their personality is increasingly exposed to the transforming light of their soul within them. They must, through their own personal actions, willingly transmute the lower forces of thought and activity into higher spiritual energies. This gives way to a conscious commitment on their part to a life of dedicated self-discipline and active service in the world. Their commitment to spiritual disciplines becomes established as daily living habits. Their soul slowly takes control of their outer form, increasingly directing the aspirant and transmuting their life from within. Under the transmuting influence of their soul, their personality begins to display divine qualities such as inclusive love, wisdom, and compassion while embodying a divine conception of life. One understands that this is the higher destiny for all of humanity. The individual learns to stand in their spiritual being, aligned with the higher forces of their divine nature, and they become increasingly committed to serving the greater good. They become aware of their soul's purpose for this lifetime and become firmly committed to fulfilling that higher purpose. Transmutation is all about claiming and attaining spiritual mastery. One comes to see that they are not separate from the energy of the universe or from spirit, as they now understand that everything comes from and is part of the same source. From this understanding, an individual begins to claim their power as a co-creator with the divine, using their intention to transmute their life energies into manifesting, healing, and other more life-enhancing purposes. Through this process of self-purification and transmutation, the divine qualities that were seated within the human being at the start of their evolutionary journey begin to manifest within the inner and outer life of the aspiring conscious soul. The downpouring light of the soul transmutes the human persona into an instrument for divine expression. The human being is transformed into a soul-infused personality whose life is divinely directed from within by their higher self. The qualities of soul, of the inner beauty, truth, wisdom and light that were veiled by the mask of the human persona for many lifetimes, become increasingly revealed as the true nature and spiritual essence in the life of the aspirant. The human persona is transmuted by the full light of their soul, and their lower bodies and their earthly expression are completely transcended. Wielding universal laws and forces, one becomes the means through which spiritual love from the divine heart flows out into the world of humanity, through the redemptive action of the spiritual alchemy of transmutation. When one knows how to move from lower to higher activities in their thoughts and deeds in order to transmute one into the other, miracles happen. As I take my leave, may the divine quality of love known as transmutation and the spiritual alchemy of love's power work ever more greatly within each of your lives. I am Archangel Gabriel. Channeled by Marlene Switless-Sultana, Keeper of the Symphonies of Grace. www.therainbowscribe.com. www.movingintoluminosity.com